What's up, Fire Family? It's Kiahonfire, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Today we're doing the follow-up video from the Oasis purges. So, for a reminder, that's the Jebusag, Dogs of the Desert, and Zealots of Metria purges. The rock slide doesn't have anything but rock-like creatures in it, so of course I don't really have much to cover in depth about that. So we'll be going into and dipping into these ones and seeing what is good and what is available here. I'm sorry it's been a while from the Epic Games release that was planned. I had a bunch of videos planned for that, and of course that went south because they didn't release it in the end, which means this video was delayed until now. So we get to follow up now, and then I will do the desert purges in the following upcoming weeks. But first we're going to start with the Zealots of Metria, one of the largest thrall ones that I have seen so far in all of our listings and discoveries. There are many thralls a part of this, but most of them are actually not tameable. So all of these are not tameable. So that is Ulrich the Beast, Tezza the Blade, Neurus, Nos, Kurth One Blow, Arik, Anna, Arnos, Sira, and Enoch. They are not tameable because what happens when you kill them is they drop flawless medium gear or flawless light gear. However, they do have some tameable ones. They have Urmuth the Swift and Haga Hawkeye. These are the archers. And then they also have Deirdre Deathbringer and Frigga False Hope. So these are like Excel kind of faction, and that's how they are. And then also this one is absolutely brimming full of priests. So of course with the Zealots of Metria, you're mostly looking for crafters here. I've picked all the important ones out. Of course you have your tanners that are going to help you make silk in your artisans table, and then you have your time decreases on your station, so the smelter and the taskmaster, and you might be able to get a chain binding out of these two as well, but that's not really a purge specific thing because you can also do that with normal world T4s. Let's go over to our little crafting section, have a look over here. We got our cook lady humming at us. We have head chef Neven, which is going to do all of the purge recipes that you can make. Iced tea, that's really nice stuff. You got some honeyed eggs, all of that mystery meat soup. Wonder what's in there. Bone broth as well, quite simple to make. Then you have your further rotund, so you have all the same kind of recipes in there, as all purge thralls will do, since they do the same thing. Then you have Gurkhan the Ironbender, which is going to of course make those cheaper reinforcements, so that's the steel, fire and iron reinforcements instead of the steel. And then you have Basan the Steel Toe, again, you got the legendary weapon repair kit, you got the reinforce, so that's all very handy stuff. Then we go over to our armorer's bench. Of course they're going to do the same thing that all purge armorers will do. So you have Tulos, who will make you a bearer pack. Of course you got the weave, you got the stitch. They're going to make you the flawless versions of your DLC armor and whatever else in there. But most importantly, what's unique as well, is going to make you the heavy plated helmet. So you have all of these that you can make that's unique to purge thralls. And then you have the same one that's going to do the same kind of thing. Keel is also going to make those helmets, and is also going to do the bearer pack, and you can also get redeemed Silent Legion out of these once you've got to learn the original Silent Legion engram. And then we have our Fireball Cauldron. You have Mary's Black Fingers. I really love the names on these. These are kind of crazy, but yeah, they're a bit weird. You got the white and black dye, which is probably what you're most interested in here. And then you have your different recipes for tar, spice, and oil, and of course your orbs. And then you have Galana the Experimenter, which of course does all the same shenanigans. Then we go over to our copters, which is going to make you split wood. So we have Keston the Tree Whisperer. Again, another really weird name. I'd love to know where these originate from. Probably some people around the office. And then you also have the Conan Nimblefingers, which will also make the split wood as well, which is handy because I always find myself getting overloaded with branches. But that's pretty much the Zealots of Metria, and that's what they're special at, and that's what they do. So again, you're looking for crafters in this one, not so much with the other fighters. However, I will show you the fighters that you get from this one. So we're going to start with our fighters and archers, but archers first. We have Urmuth the Swift. You can see they start off with pretty low HP, however you can level this up. They got the Axel faction kind of a tribute role there, with the Vit and the Survival, which is going to help against things like that. but they don't roll very well. Usually the Exiled faction kind of rules are kind of a bit dead, not gonna lie. You can see here he's a bit dead. So we have a look at Hager Hawkeye, have a look at his stats. His base is 2k. You can see he's going to get a really good chance of survival because that's 100%. So let's have a look at his counterpart. Again, he's got 100% in there. You can see he didn't really gain too much HP, but he's got a pretty good survival, which means he's going to be very resistant against poison. However, he does have a perk that's countering, but you kind of get the idea. When I show you these, it's kind of give you an idea what these kind of thralls are like, and then you can pick if you would like them for their kind of attribute role, because of course they all kind of have the same kind of growth chance in here because of their faction. You can see Deirdre rolled a little bit better here than the other ones for the Exiled faction thralls. And then we have a look at Frigga False Hope. So again, you got that low kind of samey kind of HP stats, etc., minus the attributes because they're always random. And then you have this one, which has got a really good roll on the perk here. Of course, those are random too, how they come out, but you got some pretty good HP in this one. So it's pretty decent, but they don't really seem to cap over that amount from what I've seen, even if they get the best rolls. So I wouldn't really personally recommend Exiled, but you never know. People might like them to start with if they get a purge early on like this. Now we're moving on to Dogs of the Desert. So there is a lot of thralls you can get in this one, and I mean a lot. So you have all of these fighters, all of these archers, and of course you got crafters too. So if we look in this box, you can see we got a few of these. These crafters are actually shared with the Jebel Sag Purge as well. So if there doesn't seem like there's a lot with the Jebel Sag Purge, that's because they drop all of these crafters as well, and that's what you'll be looking for. Again, these are going to do exactly the same as the ones I just showed you in their stations. So you have Duck the Cook, you have Ganache Teeth Burning Meat, which is, again, what the hell? You have Cord the Level Worker, Master Tanner Rai, you have Corim Sands, Straight Ember Eye, Martyr Maker, Mongrel, Master Alchemist Hearth, Bold Agra, Harkin the Fleecer, Wooly, Bernard the Artisan, Wright Fortis, Old Trick Woodsman, and Master Carpenter Hammer. So you'll be looking for those in these two purges, and then we can have a look at what kind of fighters you're going to get, because you're probably a bit curious which ones you're actually going to get out of this purge. And we'll start with the archers. So we have Taurus the Predator. So you can see this would make out to be a really good archer either way. So we have a look at him. He rolls pretty decent actually. I quite like Dogs of the Desert faction as a thrall in general, because they can be pretty well balanced out. Especially if you want a good archer out of these guys, that could be really nice. Of course, your agility is going to up armor on thralls, and you have a lot of these possibilities. So if you get any one of these, it will be good for you, because they are pretty much all the same, but the roles will dictate where you go. And of course, if you want to change where the stats go, you got to feed them food to make it change, so you can get the best possible out of the thrall. You can see this one rolled extremely amazing because it got redeemed, and then it got some strength buff in there, got some extra survival, so it rolled pretty well good. It has a pretty decent survival. Its strength could be a lot better than it is, but it is a very healthy and durable thrall. And then we have a look at the fighters, because they vary just a little bit because they're fighters. And if you didn't know, usually fighters have a hidden damage kind of buff, so usually you want to have fighters. See, this guy rolled good, has a couple of strength buffs here, could be better than the last one, but that's pretty decent, not gonna lie, for what he is. They shouldn't roll too high in other kind of areas anyway, mostly because of their faction. They will mostly roll really high in their original kind of faction perks. You see this guy got really lucky with some Might of the Giant, but unfortunately, again, that's not going to really do much for him because his strength in there is only 22%, because again, he rolls in his faction for the accuracy and agility mostly. So it's not really going to do too much if you get a perk like that, but it will make him better. You see this one, again, you can have a look at all of the kind of stats going on here. All Dogs of the Desert. And then you can see this guy rolled pretty okay. Not great, actually. He didn't get massive buffs in here. Very tiny little ones. But you'd still be decent if you did end up with this kind of product. And again, you can see the accuracy and the agility are the main prominence in here. So those ones got the most points into them, which is very logical of that kind of faction. So that's kind of all the fighters and archers in this one. I hope that made sense to you. Remember, you can always ask me things in the comments down below if you don't understand. And then we have Jebel Sag. You might be thinking, where are the fighters? Well, I'm going to tell you, there ain't. There's only normal ones. The only different thing in here, of course, you're going to get all the crafters from this one in Jebel Sags. The only different thing really from this one is you get Akon the Bloodletter and Lapu the Caller, which is two very, very special T4 priests in the Jebel Sag Purge. So that is going to enable you to make the bubble, and it's also going to enable you to make the zeal. There isn't really much that stands out that's too special in this one, minus the crafters. That's what you're looking for. So mostly Zealots of Metria, you're looking for crafters, and then when you come to Dogs of the Desert, you can actually pick up some really decent kind of archers in this one, or people with pretty good armor on their base stats. So that's what I kind of recommend for these purges. That's the overlook into them, and that is what to expect out of these. So again, the Oasis is pretty good for these kind of full purges in this area anyway. So this is this area. And of course, next time we shall cover a different purge. We still got to do the Unnamed City. We still got to do Relic Hunters. And we still got to do the majority of the desert. Although I might split off the Noob River, because they have their own kind of demon of purge in there too. Of course, there is a lot of purges in Conan Exiles, so it's a lot together. And these videos do take a little bit to make. So just bear with me, and they'll be coming out as soon as I can get them out. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!